Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today we are going to talk about distance and midpoint formulas. Now, I'm going to put that in air quotes because of the fact that so many people in the world of mathematics, as you're learning, get hung up on formulas. And then teachers do it too. You know who you are. Distance and midpoint, okay? Distance is just the Pythagorean theorem, okay? If you know the Pythagorean theorem, you can figure out distance, okay? It's a length based on a triangle, okay? And midpoint is just two averages, but you have to find the average twice. So before I write anything down, before you see any equation, before you see any graph, I want you to remember the Pythagorean theorem and triangles. Do you remember this? And then I want you to think of calculating an average. Do you know how to calculate an average? If I say to you, what's the average of 1 and 7, right? Can you add them together? 1 and 7 is 8. And then divide by 2, 4. The average of 1 and 7 is 4. Right? Now we go to the graph. Okay, here is it's just midpoint. Oh God, I have a lot of lights shining off of this. So we've got 2 points. First, we have to identify what these are, okay? This is 3, 3. This is -2, -1. I'll write that down. Okay, so when you're given these, you're not usually given the picture, right? You're given the numbers, and you're saying, oh, we need to find the distance, we need to find the midpoint. In mathematics, until you are a rock star of it in your mind up here, always draw a picture just to do it. Okay, but so the numbers 3, 3, -2, -1. So again, X is the horizontal, it's the first number we write. Y is the vertical, it's the second number we write. Okay? So distance. You're going to go ahead and Google search it while you're, somewhere on get another browser open on your phone and look up distance formula. And it's going to give you a lot of numbers, x1, y1, and y2, x2, and divide and square root, right? Right? Well, what I want to tell you and show you is that it is, in fact, simply a right triangle. Okay? So, when you do the distance formula, what you're actually, the x part you're looking for is this. So let's write down the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. We know this, right? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Where c is the hypotenuse. So if this is A and this is B, this is the hypotenuse. Now, oopies. Now, in the distance formula, you get a square root, right? You get like x1 minus x2 squared plus y2 minus y1 minus y2 squared is the square root for the distance. Well, that's just a manipulation of the Pythagorean theorem, okay? So do yourself a favor, draw yourself a sketch. The xy coordinate plane already has implicit the right angle of a right triangle, which is how we do the Pythagorean theorem. So you can just, you don't even need to look at the numbers, okay? You can count this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? This is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4. So now we have a Pythagorean theorem. 5 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. Okay, you counted it. But now if you want to algebraically do it, you would say 3 minus -2 becomes 3 plus 2 becomes 5. 3 minus -1 becomes 3 plus 1 becomes 4. Okay? But please, it's just the right triangle. So then we get plus 16 equals c squared. Are you with me so far? 41 is c squared. Square root of 41. Okay, we're going to get C is approximately equal to 20.1, okay? You can use your calculator. But that's our distance, okay? Oh, excuse me. Not 20 point. C is approximately equal to, let's see the bounds. Here, I'll show you a quick while we're on the side, since I did it wrong in my brain. I was thinking of 400. You can say perfect squares, 36 is less than 41. Is less than 49. Okay, why do I write that? Because this is 6 squared, this is 7 squared, So 41, our number is between 6 squared and 7 squared, so the square root of 41 is going to be between 6 and 7. That's actually the truth. So C is approximately, I'm going to say 6.6, but go ahead and throw it in your calculator if you want to. So that is our distance. Distance is 6.6 units. Bada badoom, bada bading. Okay, this is super important. Let's go over this again. We want to find the square root of 41. And I'm showing you how you can do an approximation. So this is the square of 6, the square of 49. So the square root of 36 is 6, right? The square root of 36 is 6. The square root of 41 is what we're looking for. The square root of 49 is 7. So that means our answer is somewhere between 6 and 7. That's why I estimated 6, 6. Which you can confirm in your calculator if you want to do that to me. Okay? That's distance. Distance is just the Pythagorean theorem. So do yourself a favor until you become really comfortable with the distance formula and just draw a triangle. Okay? Now, let's talk about midpoint. Okay, let's just look at this line. I'm going to get rid of the triangle now as well. Let's look at this line. If you were to guess the midpoint, let's look about, let's not look at it on the, let's just look. Does this look about halfway? Right there? That this part is equal to this part? Does that look right? You know, this is geometry now, right? I want to see, are these congruent sections? Congruent is the same as equal. Okay, so are those congruent sections? About, right? So on here, we're going to guess that actually our midpoint is 1, 1. Do you see that? 1 in the x direction, 1 in the y. That's a guesstimate. An guesstimate, it says. Okay? There. If you get crazy clowntown numbers after this, then you know you made a mistake, because this should be the midpoint. We're looking at it. That's why a sketch is always helpful. Okay? Trust your eyes. Okay, so the midpoint formula is 2 averages. Our points are 3, 3, and -2, -1. Okay? So the average of 3 and -2 is 3 plus -2 divided by 2 is, oh, look at that. It's 1 over 2. It's 1/2. So we are off a little bit. It's not 1, it's 1/2. That's the x portion of our midpoint. Now I have to do the average again for y. So you say 3 plus -1 over 2 is, so this is the x midpoint and the y. Okay? X midpoint, y midpoint. What people sometimes misunderstand, now let's look. Here is our guesstimate, right? And this is the actual answer. Our guesstimate was pretty good. In fact, if we looked at it more closely, I may have said 1/2 anyway. So let's talk about this, right? What's the main theme of all of this? The main theme is that when you do the distance formula, okay, it's just the Pythagorean theorem. Get a sketch, draw a triangle. It's going to help, I promise. I promise. Number 2, the midpoint formula, okay, midpoint formula, you have to do the average twice. You can't cut corners. You won't get it in one equation. Ever. Ever. Because there's x and there's y. Why? Because we're in 2 dimensions. We're in the plane. If we were to try the midpoint in 3 dimensions, you would have to do 3 equations. X, y, and in the 3rd dimension we call it, it's a really logical, z. Okay, distance and midpoint. Until next time, friends, just remember, math is a language and it is pictures. It's pictures. Love you. Have a great day.